The Korean wave took over the Philippines slowly. It wasn't really something that just exploded specifically in our country. Kasi dahan-dahan siya. First, we had the dramas from when our local distributors started airing Korean dramas like Endless Love, Stairway to Heaven, Boys Over Flowers. We grew up with those. And then, of course, with dramas comes OSTs. Then came the music, the K-pop concert. The reason we actually had K-dramas first was because of network wars. Meteor Garden was first popularized in ABS-CBN. The competition actively sought another already made series to air against it. Pero it was first of fail. Since noon, nagka-start na yung Korean novelas and syempre pumatok, diba? They're part of our culture. We had Philippine remakes. My Girl. We have remakes of different Korean movies like the Sarah Geronimo film. Doon na siya nag-start, yung HALLYU wave. And then, dahan-dahan siya, nakita siya rin ng Korea as a way to spread its culture.
Noong 2019 din, dumami din yung mga samgyupsal places dito sa Philippines. To the point na kumalat na din siya sa vacation spots such as mga Baguio, mga ganon. And it just shows na kung gaano ka-effective yung culture nila dito sa Philippines.
Specifically sa Philippines as a country, as a Southeast Asian country, we were one of the first ones who experienced K-pop. We were the first one introduced to SM. We had concerts here, we had dream concerts, we had EXO singing Filipino covers of Hawak Kamay. And K-pop kasi and Korean media actually, it localizes its content. Localization. Make sure its content is tailored to the locality it wants to present to. Whenever a Korean artist comes to the Philippines, they try to sing at least a Filipino song. For K-dramas naman, we took K-dramas, we dubbed them in Tagalog to make it more accessible to people. For K-dramas, dubbed siya in Tagalog, so naiintindihan mo. Hindi siya in Korean. Hindi man dub in Tagalog, riniremake yung buong plotline and sasabihin na ang selling point ay si Ding Dong Dantes, si Song Joong Ki ng Pilipinas. Lagi siyang glinog-localize, kumbaga. Naghahanap tayo ng local counterpart or trinatry natin mas ipalapit yung Filipino culture dun sa in-export nating Korean culture. So I think kung kaya siya mas dumaming consumer kasi mas naging accessible siya all throughout the years, especially with technology, streaming services. Meron tayong mga Korean media-specific streaming services.
They watch yung mga gantong films kasi or yung mga series kasi it's something they can relate to or something that can bring them joy, especially now during quarantine ngayon pandemic. Ang dami ng time ng mga tao to actually go to Netflix and spend their almost half a day just watching films there or watching series there.
Southeast Asia was one of the first markets of HALLYU, specifically Philippines, Thailand, China. Then came K-beauty product. Korean media and other forms of Korean culture trickled down to the Philippines, and us as Filipinos, we make a specific effort na tatangkilikin natin tong mga products na to, tong media na to, and hindi lang in a way na dumaan lang siya. Actively niya nai-influence the way we see this media and the way we see Korea as a country. So, bali, cultural export siya of some sorts ng Korea sa bansa natin. When you put it in terms, politically, soft power rin siya ng Korea, yung HALLYU wave. It's just the rapid spread of Korean culture. And Filipinos also has a population for the largest social media users in the world. So, it has one of the biggest populations of Twitter users. So, parang, if you think about it, Filipinos have always been active online, and since Korean media has invested so much in marketing and social media, that's why it's so much more accessible. So I think that's one of the reasons na people find it so easy to like Korean content rin.
The reason why the government actually spends money or really votes funds to the film industry or visual mediums of Korea is because ang laki talaga ng hakot nila pagdating sa K-media. I've read an article na parang around may certain quota na films kailangan gawin per year, and to me as a filmmaker parang ang ganda nun. Like may support yung country mo sa'yo kasi filmmaker ka, and sad to say na hindi ganun dito sa Philippines.
Well, in my point of view rin, it's of quality. Every film you see na these people, they invest in what they do. They have a budget for the arts and they're actively supported by their government. And that's one of the main reasons why Korean culture and Korean media is thriving kasi the government recognizes its power as a tool. Hindi nila siya ina-undermine. They see art as a tool in international relations.
Parasite won an Oscar. Actually, hakot sila. Ang dami nilang napalanunan na awards because of it. And very noteworthy film festival in the West.
When Parasite first got nominated, it was a monumental moment for all Asians kasi it meant a film industry willingly accepting POC people. A film industry long criticized Oscars So White. It was after Oscars So White trended, and then they were actively making efforts to diversify their choices. Pero when Parasite first got nominated, it meant a win for everyone Asian. It also meant a win for everyone who wanted to pursue film, but in an industry that was dominated by male white people. So it was a huge win for everyone na they saw people who looked like them up on that stage. And then finally, when the day came, Parasite won. And para siyang, oh my god, everyone was just so happy. The whole Asian community everyone was just so happy to finally see a film that wasn't in English. It was nominated as a film that had a cast of all Asian members. It was nominated as a film first released in Asian countries, and it wasn't by a Western production company. Ang raming Asian Americans, ang daming people who want to see themselves in the media, who want to be able to relate to the media, and rise of Korean films, the rise of Korean dramas in the West would mean the stereotypes can be removed or can be changed na mawala yung mga stereotypes na, for example, for BTS are people who mainly sing in the Korean language, pero so many people still sing their songs. The spread of culture is always a good thing. It's always a good thing to learn more about another country, to learn more about Korea, for example. And it's always a good thing to be able to watch more media, to consume more films from a different perspective, from a different culture, made differently, it's produced differently.
Talagang it's an inspiration.
Korean media has always been dynamic. They've always invested in it. They've always tried to make it different. And so many Korean creatives have always produced top-notch films, top-notch music, na parang once you realize it, it's about time they've become recognized. It's about time we don't listen to the same people all the time. Pero it's about time, diba? We've had such a much more diverse roster of people to listen to watch.